Let's talk about the two most underrated countries in the world today. And not only are these two countries tremendously underrated, they're overlooked and they also have the biggest potential out of all the countries that we're discussing on this channel. And so many of us, especially those doing videos, we do overlook these countries a lot. So two countries that I want to share with you and talk with you about, and something big, something very big is about to happen in these two countries that will change the trajectory of these two countries for good. And these two things are not talked about at all. And I'm going to fill you in on how you can benefit by moving to one of these two countries, because there's so much good that will happen in these two countries. So much good is about to happen. The countries we're talking about are Argentina and Paraguay. These two countries have tremendous potential. And the big thing that's about to happen, I'm going to fill you in on what this big thing is in just a moment, but let's talk about the strong points of these two countries. Paraguay is this innocent, introverted, overlooked, not really talked about child that has so much potential. Why? Paraguay is a very strong country, agriculturally speaking, a very strong country. Paraguay has great agriculture, food, electricity, water, they have it all. Paraguay also has one of the youngest populations in whole Latin America, with a median age of just 26.2 years. Paraguay is one of the youngest countries in Latin America, and pretty much anywhere, except for, of course, Africa. But across the globe, Paraguay has one of the youngest populations, and that's important if you want to move somewhere, if you want to hire, whether that's locally, if you want to target a Spanish-speaking country or the Spanish-speaking market, you need a young workforce, and Paraguay has it. On top of that, Paraguay is not drained by sanctions. Paraguay is not drained by crazy taxes. Paraguay is home to very liberal, very relaxed business climate. This is important because there are a lot of things that can actually restrain you from starting a business. There are a lot of things that can prevent you from having success in the world of business. Overregulation has killed companies, specifically in Europe, and Europe is really hanging itself with all these crazy regulations that don't seem to be going away anytime soon. Paraguay doesn't have these regulations. In Paraguay, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do. Of course, there's certain compliance, but overall, I think it's one of the best countries to start a business, especially if you're focused on the Spanish-speaking market. Then you can do a lot there. Paraguay offers one of the easiest, fastest residencies in the entire world. No economic solvency requirement. It's pretty easy. You don't have to have income. You don't have to have savings. You don't have to have a net worth. Paraguay welcomes you, provided you have a clean criminal record. Paraguay does not like criminals. In fact, most countries don't like criminals. They don't want to import criminals. They don't want that. So as long as you have a clean criminal record, you can obtain a residency in Paraguay. There are more contingencies, more documents that you have to submit before your application will get approved. However, if you come from a country that is not an ally country, you may have a hard time getting a visa for Paraguay. So Paraguay welcomes people from certain geographic locations, namely Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and North America, and of course Latin America, right? But if you come from Africa, or if you come from Asia, the Middle East, you're going to have a very, very hard time getting residency in Paraguay. There are exceptions: South Korea, Japan, Singapore, the UAE, and South Africa. Also Israel. There are some exceptions, but not too many. Paraguay is also home to a territorial tax system where you don't pay taxes on foreign sourced income. There are also contingencies here, and I highly, highly recommend that you consult with a professional tax attorney who is specialized and, most importantly, licensed. Okay? You should only take advice from a licensed tax attorney, especially when you're making important decisions related to a lot of money. So make sure you do that. Another great thing is that Paraguay does offer a path to citizenship. I know that people say, well, not many people are naturalizing in Paraguay, and that is true. And you can look up the records. It's true. And Argentina, definitely much easier to naturalize. Mexico, easier to naturalize, but residency is easy to get in Paraguay, and permanent residency in Paraguay is really permanent. It's for 10 years, and it is a renewable residency permit. Again, if you stay until the end of the video, I'm going to fill you in on the big thing that is about to happen in the Mercosur region that will transform the region forever. There's going to be a lot of money flowing into the region and a lot of opportunities will arise. It will improve so much. So make sure you stay until the end of the video to not miss the big thing that's about to happen in Mercosur. The second most underrated country in 2024 and also in the 21st century is Argentina. And Argentina is like this sleeping giant. That's how I see Argentina. Argentina is not a country that people talk about. It's not a country that people consider as a potential relocation location for a number of reasons, right? A lot of people much rather prefer the tropical, humid climate in Southeast Asia. They prefer that kind of lifestyle, but what they often don't look at is can actually remain in the country for the long term, which is not the case in most of Southeast Asia because they have kind of like a flip-flop policy, flip-flop visa policy, and immigration has been a mess in Southeast Asia over the past number of years, and I don't see how any sane person would want to immigrate to Southeast Asia. You can't even immigrate because immigration means to become a permanent resident and get citizenship, which you cannot do there, with a few exceptions, for instance, Cambodia. And if you're very, very lucky and very, very wealthy, maybe Singapore, but the rest, forget it. It's not going to happen. In Argentina, that's very different. You can become a citizen, and it is actually quite normal. It is quite common to become a citizen of Argentina. And Argentina is this sleeping giant for a number of reasons. We all know that politics has ruined Argentina over the past number of decades. The Argentine people know it. Everyone knows it. The current president knows it, and that's why he ran for president of Argentina in the first place. But Argentina is the sleeping giant with one of, potentially the strongest economies in the entire world if they manage to not only keep this trajectory but initiate massive change, which they can do. And I think Argentina is at the point where the population of Argentina is sick and tired of poor government ruling, of poor legislation being passed and implemented. They're tired of that. And you can see that. Why? I'm working with Argentinians, right? I'm working with people down there and I know that they are tired of it. And bad times create strong people, and I'm seeing this pattern, I'm seeing this characteristics down in Argentina. Where I'm not seeing it is in Europe, because in Europe the median age is crazy, the circumstances for life are crazy at the moment. I'm not seeing the willingness to change in Europe as much as I'm seeing it in Argentina. Because once you have endured so much pain over 2 generations and you've been like beaten and nothing worked out and you went through financial difficulties for so long, I can see why the Argentinians want to change. Why they wanted someone like Javier Milei. I can see why they voted for Javier Milei. And Argentina is a democratic country. The voting system is democratic, and that's very important. And so Nomad Elite is all in on Argentina. We are all in because I think something big is about to happen, and we're going to talk about this very, very shortly, so make sure you watch this whole video. What are some of the benefits of moving to Argentina? Okay, we are talking about the most underrated countries, and why is Argentina one of the most underrated countries? First of all, in 2 years of permanent residency, you can become a citizen of Argentina, and Argentina is naturalizing a lot of people every year, so this is a big plus. What about Argentina's passport? It is one of the strongest in the entire world. With an Argentina passport, you can get access to over 163 countries visa-free or visa on arrival. But another thing that's very important about the Argentine passport is that you don't have to, give up your current citizenship if you become a citizen of Argentina, assuming that's predicated on your current country of citizenship allowing dual citizenship with the country of Argentina. If that's the case, then you can keep your current citizenship. So that applies to Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, many people from the EU, specifically Italians, Portuguese, Spanish, English. Obviously the UK is not part of it. Specifically now, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and England, these countries are no longer part of the European Union because of Brexit, but as a rule of thumb, you can become a dual citizen with Argentina. and you don't have to renounce your citizenship, so that is very powerful. In Paraguay, citizenship is more difficult. Residency in Paraguay is definitely better than Argentina in many ways, so what a lot of people would do is they would get residency in Paraguay and they would live in Argentina. But unless you become a resident of Argentina, you can't really take advantage and utilize a lot of the system there. So it's not just about taking advantage, it's about gaining the best aspects of the Argentine system. It's not about taking advantage in that sense, it's actually more about gaining access to the full system, which in many countries you can only do if you become a resident. Argentina's workforce is amazing. It's one of the best that I've ever worked with. And I'm an entrepreneur. I own multiple companies. I am an entrepreneur and I am hiring people in Argentina actively. I'm hiring people in Argentina actively because they have tremendous potential. They have great language skills. They're bilingual. Many speak Spanish, English. Many also speak Italian. So there's a lot of potential, especially if you want to capitalize on the biggest markets in the world. You have to speak English. And in Argentina, that is the case. And Argentina is also pro-Italy because a lot of the immigrants that came to Argentina were Italians, of course, many also Spanish, German, and so forth. But overall, I think the language skills you can get by hiring in Argentina are just tremendous, okay? You're looking at a lot of gravy there. Argentina's birth rate has gone down, so that is true. We're now sitting at 1.8 children per woman, and hopefully the birth rate will improve as Argentina's economic situation improves, so we have to let time pass to tell whether this will happen or not. Likely it will, for the simple reason that Argentina's birth rate fell by quite a bit in 2010. Starting 2010 until now, it fell a lot because, again, of the economic turmoil that Argentina is in. But now Argentina actually had the first positive quarter of GDP in a long time. And this is all thanks to Javier Milei. Another great point is, of course, the median age, which is sitting at 31 years right now. I think 31.5 years. And again, you want to have access to a young workforce. If you're a digital nomad, if you're an entrepreneur, any kind of professional who wants to take advantage of Argentina's great system, then you want to be in a country with a young workforce. Eastern Europe is great for hiring too, but the extremely high median age will make it much harder to hire in the future. Why? Supply and demand will change things a lot. And in Europe, there's really nothing that indicates that the birth rate will be turning around anytime soon. In South America, the birth rate is still good and it's on an uptrend. Economically speaking, it's on an uptrend. Another big strength of Argentina is, of course, its geography. Argentina is home to some of the most impressive places in the entire world. If you want geographic diversity, Argentina is the place to be. The vast fertile plains of the Pampas are known for their iconic gaucho culture. Mendoza, the region on the western flank of the country that is known for its wine production. As my father used to say, you only go to a country that has good wine because that's where you have good culture. And I kind of resonate with what he meant by that. Then on the east side, you have the Atlantic coast, right? You have ocean, you have beaches. Even though the beaches are not tropical like in Brazil, at least you have beaches, right? So Argentina is a very diverse country. So many climates and so many different sceneries. There's so much to do. Since you've been patient for long enough, I'm going to fill you in on the big thing that's about to happen in Argentina and Paraguay. And what we're talking about is the FIFA World Cup 2030. This year, and also in the coming years, from now on, actually from this very moment in time until 2030 and beyond, lots of things will change in Argentina and will change for the better. The FIFA World Cup opens up the doors to new investments, which is something that is desired by these two South American countries. The FIFA World Cup will upgrade stadiums in the two countries. Transport infrastructure will be improved. We're talking about major airports that may be expanded in these two countries because these airports need to handle the influx of tourists, of visitors, of sports attendees. So they need to make certain things bigger, larger, better, newer. Possibly we're going to see upgrades in the public transportation sector. We're talking new metro lines, maybe new metro stations. improving the bus system, you name it. Upgrades and changes to roads and highways are all too common in host countries of the FIFA World Cup. And really let your imaginations play wild here. Urban development is very, very prominent before a FIFA World Cup takes place. Because again, lots of money flows into the countries that host the FIFA World Cup. The digital infrastructure may be improved. This is big because certain countries, if they can get 5G, it will be a tremendous game changer. And not only are Paraguay and Argentina hosts of the World Cup, but also Morocco. And some of these countries, they don't have 5G internet yet. So if they can get 5G internet, it will be a massive game changer because it's going to improve the whole infrastructure. It will make the country more valuable and the cost of services will improve. The demand will be different. So many positive things will happen because of the investments that took place before the World Cup. So boosting high-speed internet and mobile networks are all too common when a World Cup happens. But it goes much further and much deeper than that. Other services that may improve are utility services. We're talking water and sanitization. And of course, electricity. Paraguay had some really bad problems with electricity lately, and it was because of excessive, unregulated Bitcoin mining. And so there's a new bill in Paraguay that puts a hold on all of this for a moment until they've figured things out. All of these improvements that we talked about often lead to more longer term improvements and most importantly, a change in thinking, a change in mindset, which is often required to not only change the trajectory of a country, but to also follow through. The economic and social impacts cannot be ignored, and they are often long economic and social impacts, long-lasting impacts. And of course, these new investments, in infrastructure, in utilities, water, electricity, and the mobile networks, the internet, these changes, they create more jobs. They create more revenue, right? They make the country more profitable. There's so much good that happens when a World Cup takes place in the host country. Are you ready to move to one of the two most underrated countries in the 21st century, Paraguay and Argentina? If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, hit the red subscribe button and click the notification bell. And if you're interested in moving to one of the two countries that we discussed, to one of the two most underrated countries, Paraguay and Argentina, if you want to obtain residency in one of the two countries, purchase real estate, please contact us. You should see a website displayed below the video, also on the screen now. Visit us, book a consultation. We would love to work with you. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite. We appreciate you and we look forward to working with you in Paraguay and Argentina.